Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 54 of The Real Estate Show. I am Cherise Selley, and with me is Shauna Uehling. We are part of Selley Group Real Estate right here in Colorado Springs. We're a tiny, but I dare say mighty brokerage. I mean, after all, you are Shauna Shark.
It's true.
And it is Shark Week as we're recording this.
Apparently so.
I honor you, Shauna, today.
Thank you,
But you're
Bulldog.
You look more like a golden doodle than a shark.
I know. Well,
I love the hair.
yeah, thank you.
I love it. And, you know, everybody, this, we've had several weeks where we haven't been filming. We came back, Gordon and I came back from a trip to Costa Rica where he got some stem cell work done, and we came back, and unfortunately he had COVID and I was in quarantine with him. You've already had COVID.
Yes.
So I guess I didn't get it. I'm grateful.
You made it a long time.
I have, but I don't want to take it for granted because it can hit any of us.
That's true.
And, you know, COVID still affects our market too. I mean, talk about something that I think still has some underlying residual effects because the clients that we've worked with, I know that, you know, the funny part, I mean, before I talk about the market stats, since we're talking about COVID and a departure to that, I think I've found some of the biggest volatility in the lives of some of my clients that have had to walk through COVID and made sacrificial decisions about moving or changing their life through the COVID time. And then they come back once this disaster has passed. It's not completely gone, but it's changed a lot of things. And they've regretted some of the decisions, but how do you know in that moment when everything is changing or jobs are making people have to relocate or things that have happened through COVID? I think it's a time where I've seen some of the biggest remorse from buyers and sellers that I've experienced in 26 years of doing this business.
Like wishing they wouldn't have sold, or
wishing they wouldn't have relocated or sold, or just feeling like their life was chaotic and turned upside down through that time. And so it's a time to regroup, a time to recover, a time to recalibrate, because what has been has already happened. And it's like, it's time to kind of like gird yourself up and have a different mindset to make it through this next season. And then after COVID, now, you know, you can't turn on the news without hearing about the national changes in real estate.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people think the market is entirely crashing. And in fact, Colorado Springs, one of our own agents sent us an article that talked about Colorado Springs being the number 8 city in the nation for price reductions.
Yeah.
And so that stuff is real. But we're going to balance that conversation out a little bit today, don't you think, Shauna? Shauna Shark?
Yes, we are.
It's not all despair.
No, it's not.
There's good things happening. And let me hit these stats, because as we record this, we're right at the end of July. And we had June's statistics. We still don't have July's because they're not out. July is still happening. But just the average home price for single family homes in El Paso County for June, that average home price came out to $551, down 0.5% from $554 the month before in May. And if we look at existing homes and take out the new home equation, June of 22 is $543, down 1% from $548, $491. So there is a downward shift in the average home prices. The median home price, if you look at new homes and include that, the median home price is still going up. But if you look at existing homes, not the new construction, median home price went from $486 down from $486 to it was at $487 in May of this year. So yes, the things are changing, but let's balance it out a little bit, because in January of this year, okay, this is not a test, Shauna, but can you think of where the average price home was at the beginning of this year versus where it is now in the 540 mark?
30,000 less.
That's a good guess. You're not too far off. The average home back in January was at $494,954, and the average existing home was at $489,352. So we're still way up. If we're at 543, and then the existing home in January was at 489. Even though the market is going down, we're not January's market.
Right.
So I think that's something to kind of appropriate in people's minds as they're thinking about the market. It's changing. It's not dead.
No, buyers have overnight to think about something now.
That's right. They absolutely do, which brings sanity to everybody.
Yeah,
Because
and people are stronger in their decisions. They don't have regrets when you have a little more time to think about what you're doing.
And a seller, truly, do they want to take an offer where a buyer has only had 30 minutes to think about it?
Right.
And,
Yeah, you're like, what of the 10 should I take? What's the most solid? Who knows?
yeah.
Now, there might not be as many offers, but...
Or any multiple offers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm going through currently in my listings, is that we get an offer, and we have several listings out right now, but one of them sold over the weekend after just a full day of showings, and the next day an offer was accepted, and on this particular one there was no multiple offers, but it was a great offer.
Yeah.
So a seller might, if it's priced correctly and the market,
That's the key.
That is the key. But if it is priced correctly and there is a full price offer, there may not be another offer to drive that beyond full price, but it's still a good property sale, and it's still above what the beginning of this year's numbers yielded.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about inventory. Because the housing stats for June, as far as the inventory of homes for sale, it has risen way above. Like June of 21, there were only 778 homes that were for sale. And in June of 22, 25.
Yeah.
And
Finally got back up there.
It did. And it was in May, it was only 1360 of this year. So it went from 1360 to 2125.
Yeah, and that's why sellers are having trouble, and some of them are frustrated because they're like, well, where's my 10 offers? Well, you priced it too high. Because now buyers have a little more options, and, sellers don't rule everything now. It's getting more even.
You're right.
And some of them aren't recognizing that.
And sometimes you don't know on the pricing until the seller establishes a price, and then we have to work with the dynamics of a changing market.
Yeah.
And we may have to adjust that
and
price.
Set expectations.
Absolutely.
Because, you might, the other thing is showings are down. And so,
way down.
You might go your whole first weekend and not even have a showing.
So I was looking at this at the 650 price range, that there may only be 6 showings in a 30-day period of time.
Yeah.
For 650. So there used to be 6 showings in a matter of hours.
Right.
So that is some differences, and that's why people aren't getting the multiple offers that they were getting at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But Shauna, you have a good twist on all of this, talking about the thing we haven't been talking about, which is new construction.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going out tomorrow and writing on a new house with some clients, and they moved out here from California. They'd been longtime renters out there, never owned their own home.
Okay.
And of course now interest rates are up, and they've been saving their money, and, interest rates blew them out of the water. And so now they've been
to make the payment unaffordable.
Yeah, exactly. Went above what they could afford. But I was shocked to find out when I called the builder of all the incentives that are going on right now for buyers, at least with this particular builder. A few months ago, you're lucky to find a lot and you're on a wait list.
Exactly. You're in a lottery.
And you're lucky if the price doesn't go up 5% each month,
Yeah.
But in this particular case, they were giving away, for the buyer as an incentive, a free refrigerator, blinds for the whole house, washer and dryer,
Wow.
with the price. And a lot of these builders are affiliated in one way or another with a certain lender. And sometimes those lenders are big enough that they can offer special deals that other lenders can't. So in this particular case, they're starting out at either a 4.75, depending on their credit, to 4.99 is what they would lock at. But the first year they would be at a 2.99 rate. Second
Incredible.
year they'd be a 3.99, and then it would go up to the interest rate lock.
And it would stay fixed for a 30-year period of time.
And then but a lot of sometimes you're above that now, even on a 30-year fix. So what that's doing is it's allowing people to get into houses who normally maybe couldn't because of the interest rate hikes, because they're saving money in the first 2 years. So that difference made these guys able to purchase when they couldn't on a resale.
That difference makes all the difference.
Yeah. So that was, I was surprised, because really that wasn't around a couple months ago.
Right. No, it wasn't.
But everyone's hurting because of the interest rates. So people are getting creative again
Yes.
and trying to woo buyers in.
And nationally, new construction sales are way down.
Yes.
So they're getting creative at ways to incentivize.
Yeah, and these homes have already been started, so they have a August and September finish date. So really, you're not waiting a year.
That's a very important thing to talk about. And Shauna, the other neat thing about how builders work here in Colorado Springs, like these large builders that you're talking about, they invite you as the buyer's agent to be a part of the transaction, and they're still giving the same incentives to the buyer. But then you've got Shauna Shark there at the walkthrough. You've got somebody else that is there to be a set of eyes.
Well, and that's what they called me, because I had been, working with them before, but they're like, hey, we're looking at this new build, told me who it was. And I gave them my opinion. And, I just said, you're going to be better off with me helping you on this, because I know what to look for, because I've been down the road with these guys before. And, a lot of buyers, they don't know some of the steps in the process. If things start getting slow, what their rights are, they're afraid to push back. And, we have relationship with these agents, and we've worked with them before
the
half
builders.
the time.
The sales agents.
The sales agents for the builders. So, it just sets for a smoother transaction in a lot of cases. And if something comes up and they're not the personality to fight, well, that's what we do.
And it doesn't have to be like a physical altercation.
You just have to stand up for their expectations.
Exactly.
And if things change, you just want to make sure your buyer's on the right side of that.
And if it's a fight that you can't handle, there's always a great attorney that we can refer if that is necessary. But with new homes, I think it's great that there's some creative ways to get into a home that nobody could do before.
Yeah, they're thinking outside of the box. So anyway, it's exciting for them.
Such a good
thing.
It
opens up another avenue for people who might have shut that door in the past because it's either been too long of a build or they just can't afford the prices.
So the door's open, people.
Yes, it is.
It's time. Shauna, you're ready. Aren't
Come
you?
on.
Come to Colorado Springs. So thank you so much for joining us in this podcast, and continue to reach out to us. And thank you so much to our loyal people, our followers, and our dear clients and family that listen to this podcast. Yes. I know we have at least 3 people that are listening, and I thank
my
each
mom,
one of you.
Your mom, and
and Ron. I talked about Ron last week.
Oh yeah, Ron.
So there's definitely good feedback, and thank you for the people who have been asking us for specific topics. Like we had a dear client that was asking about investment properties, and wanting to hear about that. So we'll research that a little more and see if we can contribute to some of the things that you're asking about.
Yeah, let us know what you want to hear.
Until then, just know that we're available for your real estate questions and needs, and we so appreciate you and value you. And we'll catch you next time.
Yes.
Thank you.